Just how are the San Antonio Spurs exposing the NBA? Well, first, let's rewind and go back in time to the mid-2000s when a singular force reigned supreme in the NBA, casting a shadow that no other team could escape. Can you take a wild guess? It was none other than the legendary San Antonio Spurs, an unstoppable basketball juggernaut, spearheaded by the towering presence of Tim Duncan and the guidance of Greg Popovich. They seemed invincible, leaving their indelible mark on the league with 5 NBA championships. Fast forward to the present day and brace yourself for deja vu as history looks to repeat itself. But just how, do you ask? Well, enter the elephant in the room, the very tall elephant in the room, Victor Wiamyama, the latest titan poised to carve his path of glory within the Spurs ranks. Today, we'll embark on a riveting exploration of how the San Antonio Spurs are poised to shake up the foundations of the NBA. What's the link between their historical dominance and Victor Wembanyama's emergence as the next big sensation? Stick around as we unravel this intriguing connection and venture deep into the labyrinthian world of NBA regulations. Trust me, that's more exciting than it sounds. So first of all, take a small trip down memory lane to where it all started. As you all know, on May 17th, 2023, the San Antonio Spurs hit the jackpot in the biggest NBA draft sweepstakes since LeBron James arrived 2 decades ago. They secured the #1 overall pick and the rights to, yes, you guessed that right, Victor Wiamyama. I don't think I need to tell you all how he is a once-in-a-generational player with extraordinary skills that challenge the conventions of traditional positions within the game. And I know a lot of people think the NBA overhypes him and isn't really that good, but no, hear me out. We have seen countless tall players, but they have yet to be successful. Mostly you see that players around 6.5 feet tall have both the physicality and the agility to be successful as top players. We've seen players like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James all from this height category. Anything above 7 feet isn't that successful, as they need to have the agility to beat players smaller than them. And nowadays, truthfully, the game is relatively fast and rapid, and that's what makes Wembanyama perfect. He is 7'4" and is the tallest player in the league, yet he moves like he's 6'4". Have you ever seen a 7-foot-plus player cross over an opponent and step back for a 3? It's just wild how agile he is for his height. When they say he's a generational talent, do not think that they are overhyping him. I would even say that they're underrating him with that comment. And I'm not even kidding. And this is where the Spurs have exposed an NBA rule that other teams can exploit. They've clarified that there's a hidden cheat code within the league, and it's all about understanding the timing and strategy. Confused? Let me explain. Last year, as you all know, the Spurs had a disastrous season. Ever since their championship win in 2014, they have been slowly declining. They've been slowly falling to the point that they were a bottom half team and were not even contesting for the playoffs regularly. They were a team with a rich history and one of the most experienced coaches ever, but things were pretty bad. But here's an interesting fact. The last time that the Spurs had a disappointing season like they did last year, they emerged with Tim Duncan. And we all know how that turned out. Yes, you heard that right. Before the Tim Duncan era began, the Spurs had quite a terrible season. But they secured Duncan, and the rest is history. And that brings us to the current day. Have you ever thought that the Spurs' recent lack of form was intentional? No, I'm not saying that they were intentionally losing matches. That would be illegal. But in fact, they embraced the tank with a well-thought-out strategy. 2 years ago, they finished with a record of 33-39, with 4 key players over 30. Instead of committing to a non-superstar player with a hefty contract, which usually any team would do if they're trying to change things around and start to become successful, the Spurs sold high, receiving 3 first-round picks, 2 of which are unprotected and a pick swap for their players. Within 2 short years, they've transformed from a team with 5 contributors over 30 to a young team with only 1 player over 30. As you can imagine, this weakened their team. But why would they do that? Well, this not only gave them picks in exchange for trading their players, but it also cut their positioning in the league just at the right time, maximizing their chance of landing the first pick for the 2023 NBA draft. This is how the Spurs have exposed the NBA. They found a cheat code on how you can get a generational talent in your team. And after building a team around that talent, you are guaranteed success. They did the same when it came to Tim Duncan. Didn't he change the team's fortunes and make them one of the best teams ever? And to top it all off, since these new talents are on rookie contracts, it doesn't even cost that much to get his services. This is, again, a cheat code, because Wembanyama doesn't even play like a rookie. He is already blocking, scoring, and rebounding like crazy after 2 to 3 games into his NBA debut season. You can absolutely bet he's going to continue to improve. this is just him starting off. After some coaching by NBA-level trainers and, that one guy, Greg Popovich, and a strict training and diet regimen, you can bet he's going to become one of the best players of all time, let alone the best player in the league. But hold on, wait a minute. I might have given you the impression that the Spurs don't have any good players, and if it wasn't for Wembanyama, they are basically nothing. Well, that is not the case, folks. While Wembanyama is grabbing headlines, let's remember the unsung heroes of this Spurs team. They've got a lot of talented players, like, for example, Devin Vassell, who has been steadily improving every season. He might have started slow, but he is pretty decent now, given that he averaged nearly 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists a game last year, shooting just under 39% from 3 on 7 attempts. Now, that is impressive. He's going to fit perfectly with Wembanyama and Keldon Johnson, and they're going to give the Spurs a decent offense that scores freely. But let's also focus on the other end of the court. Did you know that the Spurs not only have excelled offensively, but they have the potential to be an elite defensive team? It might not seem that way after their below-average defensive stats last year, but still, when you have players like Victor Wiamyama, who can impact the game defensively with their insane height, which helps them block and rebound effortlessly, Jeremy Sohan's defensive versatility and length, Zach Collins' talent, and Keldon Johnson's offensive production, this team is a force to be reckoned with on both ends of the floor. Trust me, they will play excellent basketball this season. Opponents should not fear them just because they have a generational talent like Victor Wiamyama on their team. They should fear them because they have everything, from freely scoring to shutting down players. That being said, they're still relatively inexperienced and will only realistically beat some people this season. But one thing is for sure, they're going to be way better than last year and could even make the play-in. I think ultimately the San Antonio Spurs are not just back, they are going to be thriving because they've exposed a hidden cheat code in the NBA. Their strategic tanking, if you want to call it that, coupled with the emergence of talented players like Victor Wiamyama, positions them as a formidable team to watch. Indeed, they're not going to find immediate success this season, but you can bet this is the start of something unique. Slowly but surely, they might even replicate the mid-2000s success they found under the leadership of Tim Duncan. We'll just have to wait and watch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.